Hey, what's going on, guys? Oh my god, I am sick. I'm sick today, so I hope you guys are doing probably better than I am. Don't worry, it's not like anything too serious. It's just like I think a cold or something. So I started getting like sick like yesterday, and it started with like stuffy nose and a really terrible sore throat. And honestly, I'm not gonna be streaming for too long today. At this time because I still have more work to do. I had a little bit of in between time where I could stream, so I decided to come at y'all with a little stream of reaction stuff. Sorry, I just hit the microphone. But yeah, I am feeling very under the weather today. It sucks. But yeah, so glad that you guys can be here today to enjoy some things with me. I'm very happy that you guys could be here. And what I wanted to do today was get to some of those videos that I've been meaning to get to, like multiple times now. I've been wanting to get to them and just talk about them a little bit. First off, we will start with the mistakes first-time home buyers make. I think that's a pretty good way to start out, because honestly, when it comes to home buying, it's such a complicated process, and honestly, one of the most valuable resources I've found to be helpful is YouTube, oddly enough, just for the helpful information that people can provide and the experience that they're able to talk about. And honestly, I did want to talk about that a little bit with just general mistakes that people make. And, the person we're going to be watching today, Javier Vidana, possibly. I don't know how to pronounce the last name. I'm so under the weather, guys. I'm having such a hard time talking. But anyway, I did want to get a stream in today because I don't think I streamed. Did I stream yesterday? Yeah, I streamed yesterday morning. But I did want to get a little stream in today. But yeah, I want to get into this video and see what's going on with it. So let me think here. So if I do this just to make sure the music's a little bit lower. Okay, and feel free to let me know if the audio tuning's a little bit off. I did notice one thing with the streams in the past few days is that the basically the audio quality has not been good. The audio quality has been very, very, very bad, and I'm sorry about that. Primarily, it's just been the audio balancing of the videos, so I'm hoping that, I kind of fixed that. At least I'm hoping so. So you should be able to hear the, oh my gosh, Homley, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the follow. Much appreciated. Welcome to the book club. Welcome to the book club, my friend. But yeah, we're going to be talking about, like my own personal experience with home buying, with lack of home buying at this time, figuring out the ins and outs of it, really. And honestly, I'll get some good tips out of this, and I'm hoping that you guys get some good tips out of this. But yeah, feel free to call me out as like a crap VTuber and streamer if the audio mixing is utterly terrible. Because my goal, essentially, is to make it so the audio of the video overpowers the sound of the background music to the point that when I stop the video, the background music will only really be heard when I am talking. So if that does not happen, as I said, feel free to call me out and be like, hey buddy, you're kind of failing your job right now. So feel free to let me know that. Also, well wishes to my beautiful wife who came home, and unfortunately I did not receive her text messages. She had a gift for me, and I am currently in timeout because I did not get her text messages. So please give her love, because she has been doing like her utmost to take care of like my ridiculous since getting sick. She's been like a saint, I swear. So yeah, much love to her for just dealing with me and being like having the severest case of like man flu ever. It's been so bad. But yeah, anyway, So we're gonna get into this. I am very excited to see what our friend Javier here has to say. I don't know what his content is. We might click on the channel and just see. But if you guys are interested in his content, I'd recommend subscribing even as the join feature. Oh my god, how exciting! How exciting! But yeah, let's get into this, guys. I'm looking forward to it. And as I said, feel free to call me out on the audio mixing if it's got any issues. Okay? Okay? We all copacetic? We all good? All right. Here we go.
Buying a house is one of the most mentally challenging things you're ever going to do. When you look at the amount of money that the bank is letting you borrow based on what you make a month, based on the small down payment that we're putting, it just really makes your brain want to explode. Hey guys, my name is Javi, and like I have helped thousands of home buyers.
I kid you not, figuring all those details out, I'm appreciative of the people that were able to help us, like our realtor and banker and stuff. Even though we never like secured a house, I'm so appreciative to them for helping out, like with all that. And also just like to also family who were able to give us like general tips and stuff, because honestly, just home buying, it's like the biggest like decision financially that you'll ever make, you know, and you want to be wise about it, especially when it comes to like, you know, the quality of the house. You want to be sure you're happy with it. You want to be sure that everything is like in great shape. And obviously you want to be sure that you have the money put away for emergencies, as well as for, you know, the down payment and the, you know, the closing fees and all that stuff. Closing costs, I swear to God, man, closing costs are like the biggest roadblock for people to buy homes, especially young people. Like, and I say that as a cool youngster. I say that as a cool youngster like y'all. It's hard to secure, you know, the savings necessary, because it almost feels like at times like that money is just bleeding sometimes. It just feels that way. And it's because bills, you know, they come and go, and, you know, just unexpected things come up. So honestly, with me and my wife, what we do our best to do is just cut back on miscellaneous spending, honestly. And then we keep a goal in mind, like a hard term goal. Like, we want to get in this financial situation within the year. You know what I mean? Like, that's like hard set goals. We figure out the numbers, we crunch them, and then we're like, okay, this is where we want to be 12 months from now. That is what we do. And I mean, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a VTuber with a dog on my shoulder. Like, don't take it as like strict financial advice. I'm just giving you like a little bit of my thoughts on like this kind of thing, because in all honesty, like, I mean, when it comes to home buying, it can be a very, very stressful process, and the last thing you want is to feel like really terrible about the decision you made with buying the house. You know, like that buyer's remorse, which honestly, even when it came to like buying a car, I can confirm that buyer's remorse is just part of the process of being an adult. It really is. Like, and like growing up and, you know, having to purchase the big things in life, you're going to have a feeling of buyer's remorse. And at certain points, you're going to come across like, you know, like, oh my God, I could have gotten this better deal, or this is cheaper now, or, you know, you have to make the best decision at the time when you need to make that decision. Because there's always going to be a better time. There's always going to be a better price. There's always going to be a better house, better car, so on and so forth. And really, the best thing that you can do is make the best decision for the time that you need to make that decision. So, like, don't go like going like the woulda, coulda, shoulda kind of deal. Like, that's a big thing that I like to say is like, oh, well, woulda, coulda, shoulda. You know, it's like, you know, you like what could have been. You know, what should have been, what would have been. And it's like, that's not the decision that was made, you know. You gotta just go with the decision that you made, and that's especially including like financial decisions, you know, because for a house or a car, that's not easy to come back from, even if you do. You know, like, you'd have to resell and all that stuff. It's not something you can just, as far as I'm aware, you can't just return it like at like a store with a receipt. Like, you can't be doing that, I don't believe. I think once you sign the contract, you're as good as locked in, you know. But anyway,
buy their first house over the last few years. And I specialize primarily in people like me, people that didn't have any kind of...
Oh, by the way, pardon any of my sniffling, by the way. As I said, I'm just bleh today. I'm just really bleh. The sickness sucks. Well wishes in the chat. Well wishes in the chat. I appreciate you guys.
Financial literacy or any kind of education from their parents, because our parents were so busy surviving that they didn't really have time to teach us what to do with real estate or our money or anything like that. And
I kid you not, when it came to financial literacy, my mom was quick as a whip with that kind of stuff. She was smart. She was smart. It was crazy, like, seeing all the work she put in to caring for me and my siblings growing up. She did such a great job with that. Like, the finances, like, she was an ace with that kind of stuff. But yeah, it absolutely was about surviving. It absolutely was about getting by each and every day and making sure that there was, enough food, or enough money for food and for, the electric bill, for the plumbing, for everything, And she was able to purchase a house with, and, being able to take care of her kids too. That was a big deal,
And so today we're going to talk about the most common mistakes first-time home buyers make, so we can avoid
them
and we can learn from them, so that way we are empowered to make better real estate decisions.
Yeah.
Now, the first one is easier said than done, but it's something that's really important. That is, we allow our emotions to get in the way of getting a good deal.
Oh my God, that's so true. Oh my God, that's so true. I know he's going to delve more into it, but that is so valid. That's so true. Absolutely. I'll let him get into it, but I mean, that's valid.
Listen, I hate to break it to you, but this housing market absolutely sucks.
Oh, it does.
Right now,
absolutely.
If you are buying a house, you need to absolutely make sure that you are buying well under market value to protect your future self, and everybody's on board with this decision. But once you see a house that you absolutely love, that you dream about, that you and your partner are just like, oh my gosh,
been there.
This is
been
it.
There.
We're gonna raise our children here. We're gonna have our dogs and our cats here. That is
honestly, I kid you not, that is something you think about. That is something you think about when it comes to like getting into buying a home, and basically when it comes to seeing yourself in that house. I would argue that that's very, very important. I'd argue that it is very important to see yourself in that home and in that lifestyle of having a house. Like, I'd argue that's very, very important. I know that when it comes to, home buying in particular, we get lost in the feelings of anxiety, and sometimes we might get caught up in our emotions. And I'd imagine what he's going to say here is essentially like, we focus so much on like, oh my God, this is my dream house. This is such a perfect situation. This is going to be great. I mean, honestly, it's going to be that way for multiple homes at multiple times. It's not just going to be once. There's going to be moments for probably a number of years. Months if you're quick about it, but there might even be moments over the course of years. Like, me and my wife have looked at homes multiple times over the course of years, and like even before we got married, like a couple months beforehand, we were looking at homes to purchase maybe right afterwards. But it's like, when it came to home buying, you want to be sure that you're making a wise decision, because this is your future. And as our good friend here is saying, you want to be sure that you're making a decision that's financially sound and that's going to, lead to prosperity rather than destitution,
Decision just kind of fades away, and it becomes more, what do we need to do to get this house? Let me break it down for you nice and easily. When you look at a house that you like, the first thing you need to do is have your agent reach out to the seller to see what the situation is. If it's a multiple offer situation, then consider if you even want to.
Okay, so this is really important. I kid you not, this is incredibly important, and I see these points, and I do agree with many of them. Many offers, you have no leverage. Very true. Very true. Because it essentially means like, okay, well, as far as like, if they have a ton of offers, then as a result, they can very easily just move on to the next buyer. They can very easily just move on to the next person and be like, okay, well, you're asking too much. You're asking for a home inspection. You're asking for, you know, every sort of bit of information about the house under the sun. And I kid you not, when it came to home buying, I was that person. Like, and I'd imagine that, like, with home buying, I was the person that people probably hated to work with, because I would always be like, oh my god, has this house had problems? Has this house had problems? Has this house had, what problems has it had? When did it have them? All that kind of thing. And I swear, it made me more anxious. But yes, the top point, many offers, no leverage. I mean, it's very true. You know, it's going to make it so you don't really have any wiggle room, and you might not, and you could honestly, potentially, depending on the situation, negotiate down the price. You might be able to negotiate down the price, and it all really depends on what the buyer and seller, what they're able to come to as far as an agreement. Interest, no offers. I imagine that what they're talking about here is like a few, like a couple offers here, or none. Ideally, you want like a situation where there's not much, like no offers or very little interest. I mean, yes, I think to a degree. And obviously I'll talk about this. As I said, I'm not a financial advisor or anything, but my whole thing is like, if a house has been on the market for a very long time, that likely means that there's issues, or that likely means that there is an underlying problem that's been brought to light that makes the house borderline unsellable, at least in the market at the time. And when it comes to like having some offers, I would say that's pretty good. Because that means that other people are seeing pros to the house that maybe you are not seeing. But the no interest, I would be a little bit wary of. But that's just me. You know, I would be a little bit wary of that. But again, that is just me. And I don't know what he's going to say here. But if a house had no interest or no offers whatsoever, or if it was on the market for too long, I would be a little bit concerned. But if it had no offers and it had been up only in like a day or something, that would be great. That'd be phenomenal. Get in the door early.
Counter and do the dance with the seller. Because when you're in a multiple offer situation, you're basically now in a pissing match with multiple buyers to see who's going to give the seller the most amount of money. Now, a lot of times...
And they're going to go for the most amount. Like pretty much every house, like you could come to them with the most inspirational story, and they're still gonna go with the highest bidder, you know, when it comes to a house. And it makes sense, you know, they're selling their house, they want to make sure they're making a good, you know, even on just a profit off of it, you know, like a good amount of profit. I get it.
This means that you're going to be buying a house above market value, and if you think, well, the appraisal is going to be fine, the appraisal usually just happens to magically land at whatever you offer. I'm not implying anything, but it's just interesting how that always works. So
yeah, that's a bit sus. I'm not gonna lie, that is a little bit suspect. I'm not going to lie about that. That is a little bit suspect. Very, very true. I mean, for me, if the appraisal comes in just at that is a little bit, that's a bit odd.
Don't always rely on the appraisal. Now, if the seller tells you, well, there's no current offers, the next step is to run some numbers.
Once you find a home you like, run the numbers. Okay. Yes, this is also true. Make sure that when it comes to like the house itself, make sure that you are comparing it to other nearby homes that maybe have, you know, obviously same neighborhood, same county, you know, maybe the same like kind of property taxes, if you can find out that kind of information. But the other thing you want to find out is like equivalent kind of issues, like houses with similar bathrooms, like number of bathrooms, or similar bedrooms. Do both the houses, or do multiple of these houses have like backyards? Like, do they provide many of the same things? And are they similar in price range? Have they been like newly renovated and stuff? That way you know that you are not being like, the house is not just being marked up for the sake of being marked up. You know, it has kept its value over time. Like, for instance, if you're like in a neighborhood and you're looking at a bunch of homes and there is like all the freaking houses have been sold. Like every single house on the block in the development is sold. You know, every single one. And you see one that is available, but the price is like double. You know, or 1.5 times the price of all the other houses. Well, what I would do is look into finding out about the other nearby homes, like next door neighbors, that kind of thing, and see what their houses, you know, were offering, like on Zillow or whatever, and see if they were offering, you know, like, oh, this house has, you know, 1.5 baths, 2 baths, this has 3 bedrooms, and just see, like, why is this one house so much more pricey? Was there like a ton of changes made to it? Was there a bunch of like things that were added, like additions made? Like, obviously, if it's just been the same and it hasn't changed anything and it hasn't been, you know, like improved in any kind of way, then obviously that price hike is not really justified. Unless, of course, the market has entirely gone in a different direction, which we pray it doesn't go in that direction. We really hope it doesn't.
Run the numbers. Don't get all emotional and sentimental yet.
Yes.
Figure out what the
absolutely.
comparables are in the neighborhood. Figure out what's going on in the zip code and get a very good idea of what's happening data-wise. Don't look at the house as 4 walls and a door and a bucket full of memories. We're not there yet.
No, you're not. You are not. Let's be real, okay? I'm a level with you. That house you are looking at right now, you are not tied to it. I'm gonna be real with you. That house you are looking at right now, you are not tied to it. It is not your house. You don't have a bunch of memories there. You don't have like a bunch of experiences at that house. That's stuff you could have, you know? So don't get, you know, lost in the sentimentality sauce, you know? Like, don't get lost in, like, the feeling. And, like, I've done that before, where it's like, oh my god, but this house it's so good, and this could be where this goes, and this could be where this goes, and we could furnish it like this. And, yeah, you could, but does the price make sense? You know, does it make sense for your financial situation? Or would it be better for you to wait until maybe a price change? Would it be better for the market to change entirely? Or maybe to speak with the buyer, see if something can be negotiated, maybe the price can be negotiated down? Those are the kind of the things you need to keep in mind and not get too sentimental about. Honestly, just honestly, you don't want to get tied down to a house that you don't even own. Don't put like all the emotion into it when, especially if you're in a bidding war. Like, don't do that. Like, if you're potentially going to be outbid by somebody, and obviously don't like shoot yourself in the foot and like try to overbid by like a ton. Like, I don't think that'd be a wise move, but that's just me. But when it comes to like outbidding someone, you don't want to like put all your eggs in, like all your emotional eggs in one basket and be like, oh my god, you know, this is a make or break for this house. Like, if we don't get this house, my life is over. Like, no, like, don't think that.
Yet, just look at it more as, how much money is this house going to lose me in the next 5 years?
Oh, that's real. That's valid. Honestly, with the amount of things I've seen online, and many people online tend to be like doomers, and that I understand. But many people are like, oh my god, I bought this house and I invested like, you know, $100,000 within the first like 10 years. It's like in improvements and in necessary, you know, like fixes and that kind of thing. And I have seen that. You know, I've seen that kind of thing where someone buys a house thinking it's in great shape, and then boom, like a pipe bursts in the basement and floods the freaking thing. You know, and it was a finished basement. It's like, oh my god, like anything can happen.
And if you think of it like that, you're going to have a very sharp mindset of what you need to offer. Because
yes.
Once you figure out what that market value is, you need to do your absolute best to get as much off that market value. And next, we consider the personal situation the seller's in.
Find out everything you can about the seller's situation. Days on the market, yes. Days on the market, why they're selling in the equity, yes, very much so. literally, depending on how long a house has been on the market, I will not even look twice at it. Like, if a house has been on the market for, like, and I will say, like, even though it's not a buyer's market right now, people are buying homes. People are buying homes. It's not a good market for buyers. It's not a good market for us, but people are buying homes. And the thing is if a house has been on the market and it's a good looking house, it like the pictures and everything, it looks to be pretty good, pretty decent shape, but it's been on the market for like 120 days, that's a problem. There's a problem there. Something's wrong. Someone died. Someone died in that house. There is something in that house. There is something in the basement that is alive that they are feeding. That is what's happening in that house. I don't know. But if ever I see a house that has been on the market for way too long, I immediately get red flags and look the other way. Like, immediately. I'm like, yeah, no, this house looks gorgeous, but and it looks like it has everything that we're looking for. It looks like the perfect home, but it's been on the market for like 200 days. Like, there's no way. Like, no way.
How many days on the market do they have? How good of a job do they market it? Do they need to sell for a reason? Are they going to go move somewhere else? And more importantly, what's their equity position? How much money are they set to make if they sell this house at the list price? Like, if they're making $250K off the house, I'm going to lowball them because, like, dude.
True. I mean, it's like, it really depends on like what they're selling the house for. You want to be sure you're getting like treated fairly. As the buyer, it doesn't mean that you need to be taken advantage of. And I feel like people go into even car buying situations like as if they're like desperate. And there are certain situations where maybe you really do need a car, maybe you do need a house. And in that circumstance, I get it. But if this is just something that, you're at that point in life where, it's time to buy a car, it's time to get a house, and you have the finances to do it, like, you're not desperate. I'd hope not, at least. If you are, then you got to do what you got to do. But if you're not desperate, then, don't mistreat yourself. Don't, like, force yourself into a situation where you're buying a house and you're robbing yourself of the money you work so hard for, and you're giving so much more of it than the asking price, or even, as I said, like, if the prices of the houses around it have sold for a certain amount and then they've upped the price by 1.5 or 2 times, you got to find out why. If the other houses nearby have sold for this price, then why does this homeowner in particular feel like, oh, well, my house is worth twice that, even though I've made no changes or improvements or renovations? Like, you need to find that kind of stuff out. Ask your realtor that you're working with, see if you can find out any information online, find the pictures on Zillow, that kind of thing. And like, even for me, like, when it came to like looking into neighborhoods and stuff like that, bro, I went to people's homes and knocked on the door and was just like, hey, what's it like living in this neighborhood? Because we were looking at homes in an area, and I'm like, I knocked on some of the neighbors' doors and I'm like, hey, what's this neighborhood like? I didn't ask any financial questions, obviously, that's rude, but I wanted to inquire about the neighborhood. I'm like, is it safe? Is it, are pets able to, bark every once in a while and it's not a big problem with the neighbors? Like, that kind of thing. Those are kind of things you want to find out. That's kind of separate from what he's talking about right now, but I feel like, honestly, it's very, very essential.
Dude, I'm not going to overpay. You're making your money. Why are you complaining, right?
True.
The second common mistake that first-time home buyers make that kind of goes with the first one is they don't know when it's okay to walk away.
True. I mean, here's the thing. Until you sign that paperwork, until you have the closing costs paid, you can walk away. Okay? You hear me? You can step away and say, I don't want this. If in some cases you may need to pay fees for stepping out, but I mean, in every case that me and my wife have had, we haven't had fees that we've had to pay up front for stepping away from a home. We thankfully have never had to deal with that. But it's better than committing to a house that you are not happy with. If you see a red flag that is big enough, go the other way. Just walk. You will find another house. Just don't rob yourself. Don't mistreat yourself. Don't think you need to settle on such a big freaking decision. It's such a big decision. Like, don't do that to yourself, you know? Like, be good to yourself in that way. Be good to your family, you know?
And when I say walk away, I mean walk away.
Yes.
I have this problem with my daughter. I have a 9-year-old son and a 6-7-year-old daughter, and I have a little 1-year-old baby.
God bless. That's awesome, man. God bless. That's phenomenal. Family, man. Love that. Love to see it.
My daughter runs my life. Like, whatever she wants, she gets. And whenever she knows how to play me, it is what it is. Even my little baby, like, she does something wrong, and she's like, and we're like, Evie, and she just starts going, oh, you blowing me kisses, okay. And they know how to play me. My daughter, if she's like putting on a sales pitch of what she wants or what she needs, I need this Pokemon card deck or pack or whatever. And
dude, if your kids are like, if they watch an anime and Pokemon, you're doing good. You're doing a good job. You're doing a swell job taking care of those kids. If they are being raised with freaking anime and Pokemon cards, let's go. Let's go.
And I just go, no, no, just it's not gonna work. And at that point, I need to walk away. But if I continue listening to her, then I'm like, oh, okay, fine. By walking away, I eliminate any potential yes and giving in, right? So for a lot of us, we don't know when that's the right time. So after we
might even be like nervous about it too. Like, you might get that little bit of social anxiety, like, oh, but if I step away, you know, that might be awkward. Like, no, man, it doesn't matter. What's going to be awkward is when you can't make the mortgage payment. That's what's going to be awkward. What's going to be awkward is when the pipes burst in the house or something, or the electric goes completely haywire. Like, that's going to be awkward. Not saying no to the house. That's like a moment of like strangeness to not pay like 30 years of just a house you don't want, you know? Like, straight up.
Analyze the situation, we have a better idea of what we need to offer, and we finally make that offer. Sometimes the seller's just not going to want to play ball. Sometimes they're just going to be offended by our offer. But I hate to break it to you guys, there's going to be some resistance, especially when you're trying to get a house under list price or trying to get heavy concessions. It's not going to be easy, right? If we wanted it to be
no, but you can't give up your negotiating power. You can't, like, try your best to maintain your negotiating power. Even if you're in a situation where you need to buy a home, you know, your family's growing bigger, maybe you're in a situation where you need to move, but do your best not to just come off as, like, desperate, you know, like, because people, not everybody, but some people take advantage of that kind of thing. And you don't want to be taken advantage of. You know, you want to regret such a big financial decision as much, or you don't want to regret a decision of such a magnitude, you know, to such a high extent. You know, you don't want to regret something that important. You know what I mean? You don't want to. You'll have some regrets, you'll have some buyer's remorse, you know, but you don't want to regret it that much, you know.
Easy, we can just give these sellers list price. It's not 2021 anymore. We can't be doing that. So there is going to be some resistance, and a lot of times the sellers are going to give us an entire brick wall. There's a speech by Randy Posh on YouTube 16 years ago. It's called Achieving Your Childhood Dreams, and it talks about brick walls are not there to keep us out. The brick walls are to show how badly we want something, because the brick walls are there to stop the people who don't want something badly enough. And for us,
I like that. It's just an obstacle. It's not something that we can't overcome, but it is an obstacle, and it's something that we need to look at realistically, and it is something that we need to address when approached with it. You know, like when we're approaching that brick wall, we need to make sure that we're addressing that issue. You know what I mean?
A lot of times that brick wall is going to be a human flesh. And before you get all weird, like I'm talking like Elden Ring or something. No, I mean literally the seller. Sometimes a seller is going to be in the way, and they are just going to say, no, we're not taking your offer. It's
yes. Oh my God. That does happen. Sometimes people will just be like, yo, that's not enough. You're not offering me enough. I'm not interested. And for that, you're just like, okay, all right, well, I'm going to walk the other way then, because that's what I can afford. I don't want to get myself in a situation where I'm going to be house poor. You know, I don't want to be in a situation where I can't afford food, but I can afford a house. You know, you want to be able to take care of you and yours.
Too low. Guess what, my friends? Don't entertain it. If you give them the benefit of the doubt and you give them another solid counter and they're still being very stubborn, walk away.
Walk away. Those are two powerful words that give you as the buyer a lot of leverage, especially if a house has little to no offers and obviously hasn't been on the market for too long. You know, that gives you as the buyer a ton of leverage.
Don't be like Javi with his daughter. Walk away, because what's going to end up happening is the emotions of wanting that house is just going to keep you involved and keep you hooked, and you're going to give the seller what they want. And the appraisal will come in.
This guy is like, I agree with this, like genuinely.
And you're going to feel like about the house at appraised value, it's fine. No, you need to know when it's okay to walk away.
Yes.
Surprisingly, two things might happen when you walk away.
Okay.
They might come back and say, wait. Okay, fine, we'll work. Or
yes, exactly. They very well might come back to you and be like, well, you know, I'm willing to negotiate. I'm willing to negotiate. You don't know what kind of situation the seller might be in. Maybe you're the only offer that's, you know, they're really entertaining, and they might just be trying to get more money out of you. But if you walk away, then you might be able to get it for a better price. It's very possible. It's very possible.
You just keep on looking, and you need to actually move on from the house and keep looking.
That's the other thing. You might just need to walk away.
Who knows? Maybe a month later, they're still there. They'll work with you then, or you'll be surprised. You might find something maybe not as good as that house, but maybe a seller that's a lot more willing to work with you.
Yes.
And the last common homebuyer mistake that I absolutely wish everyone, if there's like one thing you take from this.
I am going to take this last one as gospel, by the way. I'm going to put it on a bumper sticker so that everyone behind me while driving can see it.
This video, please take this one. That is, you need to look at the people you hire as your team that works for you, not coaches there to guide you. Let me explain.
Okay.
If you want to buy a house, you call up your lender. Hey, what do I qualify for? They tell you what you qualify for.
Yes.
You want to buy a house. You call your real estate agent. Hey, I want to buy a house. Well, surprisingly, you can actually buy a house right now. You actually qualify. Next thing you know, you're buying a house. You're taking their lead the whole time. They're telling you what to offer. They're telling you what you need to do.
Oh my God, this is so true. Oh my God, this is so true. Work with the people that are helping you get a home. Don't just do everything they tell you to. Dude. Bro, that is so true. Like, look at the people, your lender, your realtor, look at them as like teammates that are helping you achieve a goal, not instructors meant to just guide you in a certain direction. Look at their guidance as something that you can use to apply to yourself and make a decision for you and for your family. Because if you just take their word for it and you don't do your own research, you're going to get in a really rough spot, because at the end of the day, your lender and your realtor are not the ones who are going to be in a rough spot if you cannot afford that house. They're not going to be the ones in the rough spot. You're going to be the one in the rough spot.
They're telling you how it's a great time to buy, and surprisingly enough, you're going to buy. At the end of the day, you need to remember one thing, and I'm telling you this as a fellow real estate agent.
Okay.
Our license is not called real estate consultant. We're not.
Yes. Agreed.
Not called real estate financial advisors. If you look up what our license is called on any directory, it's called a real estate salesperson's license.
Yes.
Okay. We are salespeople, and we're there.
They're selling you a product. Please remember that. Oh my God, I cannot tell you how much I need to remind myself of this, is that yes, you can get the best, most kind realtor in the world, but as someone who I as well work in the sales industry, you are trying to sell a product. Yes, you might want to be very helpful. You might want to be supplying something that people really might desperately need. But at the end of the day, bottom line, you are working. You're in a business and you're trying to make a sale. That's fair. That's valid. I appreciate this honesty so much. This is so transparent. I appreciate this.
There to sell, and no matter how hard the situation, We're always going to be overly optimistic on what you can buy and what you can qualify for. The lenders are there to get you into a mortgage. They're not going to tell you what you can afford. They're going to tell you what you qualify for. Now,
yes, exactly. Exactly. The goal is to get you into that house. But at the end of the day, what you can afford is different from what you qualify for.
This may be ad nauseum, but maybe this is the first time you're watching me and this is the first time you're hearing this. But you need
to... Dude, ad nauseum is fine. People need reminders, myself included.
Not buy based on what you can qualify, based on what your real estate agent, based on what your lender is telling you.
Yes.
You need to do your own independent research on what it takes to buy a house and figure out what you can comfortably afford. In the description, I'll leave 3 videos that the combination of it.
You guys can watch those as well, because it seems like that's his primary thing is real estate. So if you're looking into this, I'd recommend this channel. I'm gonna subscribe because I appreciate this a lot.
Videos I've made and friends and videos that I find are really highly valued that you need to check out. That'll just give you a really good idea on what you need to know as a home buyer. Before you go hire a realtor, before you go hire a lender, before you go ask your uncle, Beppe,
do your research.
Hey Theo, what do you think? You know, he owns 5 houses, so he must know a lot. Hey Theo, can I buy a house?
That's so true.
He bought when it was 2011 and they were super cheap. He doesn't know everything there is about real estate, okay? I'm gonna get a few.
Yo, I can agree with this only because my wife, she is Hispanic. She has multiple Theos. So I can confirm this as someone who has met them in real life. Okay? I can confirm, and I swear they are some of the nicest men I have ever met. Oh my god. I love them. But that starter pack thing was very funny to me. I absolutely love that. That's funny. That is very, very funny. I approve. That is phenomenal.
Know everything there is about real estate, okay? I'm gonna get a few nasty texts from some Theo Peppers out there, so heads up. You might not hear from me in a week. They might kidnap me. But do that.
Dude, one of my wife's Theos, he called and was like, hey, let your wife know that our college beat her college. And then, like, that was it. That's, like, all he wanted to say. And I'm like, not you trying to pick a fight with your niece. I just thought that was so funny. I'm like, are you trying to start something right now? Really? You called to just start-ish?
Independent research yourself. So
yes,
you want a quick summary? I can give you a quick summary. Lenders usually just check out what 45% of your gross income is, and that is what they use to qualify you. Yeah, they do some more math, like they remove what debts you have and stuff like that.
Yes,
but
exactly.
If you make $10,000 gross, meaning before taxes, they probably will qualify you for a monthly payment of like $4,000 to $4,500 if you have low to little debts. Now, that sounds great and all, and if you talk to
that is very minimal debt though. Keep that in mind. That is very minimal debt. Like, that is very low debt.
First, you're gonna go call mom and dad and say, "Woo! I qualify for a $4,000 house," and now you're buying yourself a really expensive house.
Yeah, no, don't do that.
Yourself in a golden jail. Yes, it's beautiful and it's yours, but you're shackled in debt now. But if you did some research, you find out, hey, my mortgage payment shouldn't be more than 25 or 30% of my take-home net income, not my gross income.
True.
My take-home income. So that way you go talk to the lender and you say,
because you need to take out the money for taxes. Remember the taxes. Don't forget those. You need to base it off your take-home income, not your gross. Because there is a percentage of that is going to go to Uncle Sam. Okay? You got to remember that. All right?
This is the mortgage payment I need to qualify for.
Yes.
What price works for me? You go to talk to your agent. This is the price I need in a house. When you recommend any neighborhoods or what do you suggest? Now you're coming in from a place of power.
Yes.
And this is you're
coming at it from a place of proper perspective. You're coming at it from a place of, I know what I'm talking about. At least to an extent that you can't just tell me, hey, this is what you should do. Because I already know what I need to do. I just need you to help me crunch numbers. So you need to come at your lender and your realtor with knowledge. Some knowledge, at least. You can't just go into it blind. Because at the end of the day, it's your big decision. Home buying is on you and your family. You can't just go into it completely blind. That's not wise.
Or path that you're going to make, and you can take feedback and suggestions, sure, because you know you're
absolutely, feedback is helpful. Complete guidance and hand-holding is not.
an open-minded person, but you're not going to go and just be led by people whose job it is to sell.
Oh my God, this man is preaching. He's preaching. On God, this man's preaching. This is so true. You can't just go into home buying thinking that you're just gonna have your hand held the entire time. You can. And you know what the problem is that they will hold your hand the entire time if given the opportunity. Your lender will, your realtor will. Not to say that they're not trying to help you, but at the end of the day, they are in business. They are trying to make a sale. They are attempting to make money. They're in a business. And you are going to be buying a product. Just remember that. Keep it in mind. It's not that they're evil. It's not that they're trying to harm you. But at the end of the day, they got families to feed. They got themselves to feed. They've got a dog to feed, possibly. They also need to make money. So remember that when buying a house, that they are looking to make money off of you. Just keep that in mind.
Okay, you're going to be the one in power here. Now,
you need to keep power
afford,
to a degree.
You can just do some basic math, just Google budgeting.
Google is incredibly helpful. I recommend people look into as much information as they can before buying a home. Like I do extensive research of essentially the market at the time. Like that is probably one of my biggest Google searches is like home markets at this current time, you know, that kind of thing.
If you have an extra $5, I have a Patreon where you can get you access to my
plug in Patreon, but I don't mind whatsoever.
Where you can just
you
plug in some
plug,
numbers,
dude.
and
Your
I have
video's phenomenal.
For example, if you make $10,000 and you take home, let's say $8,000, even though you qualify up to $5K, you can only really afford between $2,000 to $2,600.
Yes, exactly. And remember, debt to income ratio is not the only thing that matters. That is not the only thing that matters, because unexpected things do come up, and at the end of the day, you need to think about your take-home income, not just your gross. Your gross income is what your loan will be based off of, as well as the debt to income ratio, but that does not mean that that is entirely what you should base your decision on. Don't just base your decision based off of what the bank or your realtor says. The bank or your lender. Just your lender, excuse me, because your lender can be a bank, it can be a credit union, all that stuff.
Right? So using forms like this or calculators like this, or just doing your own independent research, you can find this stuff out on your own, do the research, do the work, and then go meet with somebody, right?
Yes, go into it in a position of, I know to a degree what I am talking about. You can't not swindle, because if you're working with a swindler, then you're working with the wrong person. But come at it from the perspective of, I know things. You can't just tell me what to do. I know this ish, okay?
So that way, you're in a position of power, you're coming in and you're hiring a team to assist you.
Yes.
And if they're not living up to your standards, you can let them go, because this is your path and your journey. Hope this video brought you some value today, friends.
It absolutely did.
I didn't have the best financial education growing up, and I don't blame my dad and mom. They were busy surviving, and they didn't have the assistance. So now
I can agree with
it's our job to break that generational curse and teach our children now with better tools and whatnot. So if you guys want to support me, you can hit like and subscribe. If you're looking to buy or sell a house in Phoenix,
my man.
You can just reach out to
Already
me.
there.
My contact
Already
information is
there.
below. And of course, my Patreon is there if you want access to this, and of course, bonus videos that I'll be posting there as well. Thank you guys so much. See you on the next one.
That was a phenomenal video. I'm going to link it in the chat real quick. Linked in the chat. Feel free to check out this guy's channel.
You can call me
Javier Vidana, I believe is how you pronounce the last name. I could be entirely wrong, though. It's a last name that I don't think I've seen yet. But yeah, feel free to check out his channel, for real. I found this video to be incredibly helpful, and what a great way to, start and end the stream. And I appreciated you guys stopping in, appreciated you guys being a part of this, and I hope that there was some interesting information here. I hope that you guys, got something out of it, for real. But, I'm going to likely close out stream for now, and be back maybe later today or tomorrow. yeah, I just need to focus on getting a little bit better, because as I said, I'm still sick. Even though I get like passionate and I can, you know, talk through the sickness, it's, you know, still there. You know, I'm still not feeling the greatest in the world. So yeah, wish me well with getting better, and I wish you guys well, and yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. Laters.